Shane Sparks, Track Wrestling, here with the head coach of Ohio State, Tom Ryan, and Coach Ryan. Big night here in Columbus as Ohio State welcomes in Penn State. Going to be a sold out or close to sold out at the Shot tonight. Just talk about the effort behind this and getting this match and this environment.
Well, obviously we're in a place here at Ohio State. These people love their Buckeyes. The administration is fired up about wrestling. You know, we're wrestling in the Schottenstein Center tonight, as you mentioned. Over 12,000 tickets sold already. We got the banners up. We got the flames are ready to go. So the mat's down, and you know, we're just in a place that people are passionate about wrestling. So this is what, to some degree, this was kind of the big vision for me. You know, I've always said I want traffic for wrestling matches. I want a log jam of people that have to leave early, their homes early to get to a match. It's going to be so much traffic. So great match tonight. I think there's 4 NCAA champions. There's 13 returning All-Americans. People are going to see great wrestling tonight.
What has you most excited about this opportunity, and when you assess this match, you know, what'll be most critical for you guys?
Well, you know, obviously, you know, they keep points because you want to win, right? I mean, the end of the day is you get your hand raised if the team win. But more importantly than that, at this point in time in the season, is development. You know, are we starting to plug the holes of some of the position situations we've seen, some of the conditioning issues we've seen, maybe some of the top-bottom position we've seen. So at the end of the day, we just want to compete to our best.
It starts with Kyle Snyder for you guys, world champion, Olympic champion, NCAA champion, just wins the Oregon. Where did you discover Kyle, and what do you remember from that first meeting with him?
Well, Kyle, you know, obviously Kyle adds a whole nother level of confidence, I think, to the team when he's in the lineup. You know, last week, we opted not to. He wanted to go to the Oregon tournament. It's one of the few tournaments that is an enormous tournament in terms of difficulty in winning that he had never won. So he wanted to go. He wants to win 5 gold medals. He went to Oregon. We were in Iowa City. You know, it's 18-13, comes down to heavyweight, and you have no Snyder. But the reality is, because there's no sting, no end of the season sting to a loss, we thought the best thing for Kyle and his long-term goals was to go to Oregon. I saw him the first time at the Ironman tournament as a sophomore. Then that summer he won the Junior Worlds, and I mean, this was a guy that you know, when you watch him wrestle, you know, when you don't understand what it takes to be elite, you wonder, how did this guy get so good? But once you walk alongside him, you see someone that has a deep love for what he's doing. He has grit beyond words, which meaning that day after day, he comes in that room twice a day and gets himself in a place where he wants to learn. So he's just a great leader, from academically. You know, his older brother went to West Point grad, just across the board, first class.
Any story with him in your mind, Coach Ryan, that really sums it up in what he represents?
Well, I would say things that come to mind for me. One was the pain I saw him in when he lost in the national finals, and the way he responded to it. The next day, he's in the weight room, and then about 3 months later, he wins the U.S. Open, and 3 months after that, he wins the World Championships. So this is a guy that understands, really understands what it takes to continue to improve in the sport. And he has a love for it. So I think situations like that I've seen him, even with his teammates, he'll stay after practice. He'll work with a lighter guy. He'll work with a bigger guy. He has a sense of, like, a fatherly sense to, I'm going to bring some people along with me. And that's true leadership.
And he'll be recognized tonight along with Logan Stiver, correct?
Yeah, we're going to recognize them both. I believe after the second match, we'll bring them out. I think we're presenting their world championship rings to them. You know, 2 Buckeyes in the last, 3 years to win world championships. So, you know, we're really excited about the future here, what's happened. I'm really thankful to all these people that make our freestyle program what it is. There are so many people involved in that freestyle program. You know, the one thing you have to have is revenue to support people that want to pursue the Olympic dream. It is very difficult to work a 9-to-5 job, train 2 to 3 times a day, travel the world, and improve and pay your bills. So this has been a complete team effort, and the future is bright.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, you look at what you've done, Coach Ryan, as an athlete, and as a coach. You've been around some of those greats. I want to go back to Stiver for just a second. Of course, he wins 4 NCAA titles in that Buckeye singlet. What separated him? All the great ones have common denominators, but what about Logan Stiver did you have to experience day in, day out as closely as you did to truly comprehend and appreciate what he brings to the table?
Yeah, so it started young. You know, his dad and mom sacrificed, right? They took him to every tournament there was. They put him around people. They inserted him in an environment as a young person where he was challenged. They got the best kids in the area in to train with him. They got him around a great coach in Burnett, a great coach in Stiver. So they had all the ingredients that you see in any elite athlete. These things are commonplace among elite athletes. Then when I got him to Ohio State, again, I saw the grittiness. You know, he had great speed from the outside. He had a shot that was very difficult to stop. He mastered the top position, so he was a mat wrestler that really understood how to capitalize on people that may not spend enough time on bottom. So he really opened up a match on top, and just love another guy, just a love for the sport.
Couple other hammers in the lineup from a leadership standpoint: Beau Jordan, Nathan Tomasello, 2 guys ranked #1 in the country. What's most fun about those guys?
I mean, they loved what they're doing. You know, you come to work and there's a great attitude. I mean, nobody wants to be around someone who is not inspired to do big things, right? They drag you down. We don't have that. You know, we've got guys that have big dreams. You know, Logan won the Nationals as a freshman. And then freshmen coming in after that, it's like, it's no longer does it become this thing on a pedestal that you can't attain, right? Everyone has to believe that I can do that. And when you see someone like Logan do it, and then Nathan does it, and then Kyle's in the finals, and then Myles Martin wins it, there's a sense that, you know what, let's not put this on a pedestal. I'm walking around people that have done it. If I just link up to them and pick their brain and study them and follow them, if I'm just a good follower and do what they did, I can do it too. And that's kind of where we are right now in the program.
Myles Martin, at least on paper, his season this year a little bit reminiscent to a year ago. Yep. You know, what is he learning right now being a national champion from a year ago? New territory.
Myles is a belief thing. You know, Myles Martin trains incredibly hard. He loves what he's doing. He wants to leave a legacy behind in regard to what he's done here at Ohio State. And last year at 74, he wasn't convinced he could make the weight and feel good there, and which is why he was hesitant on choosing to come out of redshirt. At some point in time, he started to believe that why would I not believe in me, right? Why would I not believe in my training, my partner? So we're kind of in that state now as he moved up to 84. You know, am I strong enough? Can I hold up? Can I really win at this weight? And the reality is, of course you can. Of course you can. And I think his mindset is beginning to grow more and more into believing that 184 is a great weight for him, and it's a weight that he can dominate like he did last year at the national tournament. So we're work in progress, us humans, right? So, yeah.
Trackwrestling.com here with Ohio State head coach Tom Ryan, getting back to this duel with Penn State. You talk about the youth. I look at 141 and 197 with Pletcher and Moore. What will be the difference in those matches for, again, a couple of young bucks?
Yeah, so I think 41, I think if most people that really follow the sport would say, potentially, as 41 goes, the dual meet goes. If everyone holds their ground, bonus points are picked up here or there, I would say that most would think that the Pletcher-Gillibon match is a key matchup to win the duel. We're continuing the strong tradition we've had in the past of just really tough freshmen. You know, now Luke's a true freshman, right? Came in, we recruited him as a 33-pounder. Keyshawn Hayes gets injured. He steps in the lineup right away, and he's been doing a fantastic job at 41. He has incredible awareness. He can score from lots of positions. He just has a really good sense of where he is relative to his opponent on the mat. And that comes from years and years of training. Colin Moore is a redshirt who came in as about 184, 185 pounds as a high school senior. He's grown, he's now 210, he's physical, he's strong, he put in a great summer, made the junior world team. The key for him is McCutcheon is a physical guy. I think he's a 5th-year senior, right? So he's been around a while. He's been in the Penn State program for quite a few years. He's physical. We've got to make sure that we get him moving, finish hard and clean, because he's got good hips, and he's going to be pretty, he doesn't have the offense we have, but he's stingy and tough. So, Colin Moore loves this. So
I always appreciate, Coach Ryan, listening to you speak different interviews over the years, and I've always wanted to ask you about suffering. It comes up in most of your interviews. You talk about suffering. Where did that originate? And for those that haven't heard it, if you could describe that philosophy a little bit.
So I think there are two words that mean the same thing, right? They would be what, synonyms? I think that's right.
Okay.
My Iowa education, I believe it's a synonym, right?
And then antonyms, I think, are opposite, right? Okay.
Yeah, sound the same, same meanings. All right, so you've got love and sacrifice. They're interchangeable, right? The more you love something, the more you want to sacrifice for it. The more you sacrifice for something, clearly, the more you clearly love it. So suffering is a term that I experienced at an incredibly high level, and this suffering helped me grow. So it was a tragedy that my family experienced in losing my son. I've experienced a lot of suffering as an athlete, but that's chosen suffering, right? So that's the suffering we're talking about now, not the unchosen suffering, which are the things that can occur in life that you want no part of. Chosen suffering is the place where the coal turns to the diamond, right? It's this deep place you take yourself to in order to grow. There is no growth without discomfort. And so I refer a lot to our guys and a lot in interviews and just talking that, how much are you willing to suffer? Mom asked me, dad asked me, does my kid have what it takes to win at this level? The answer is pretty easy. The answer is, how much is he willing to suffer, right? I mean, I don't get to answer that question. Only they do. So that's where suffering, my version of suffering, goes to.
Going back to last week against Iowa in the press conference, you talked about Tom Brands making a good coaching decision, did not wrestle Corey Clark against Tomasello. You and I talked about this a little bit more length last night. NWCA duels, of course, approaching, and a lot of different opinions and things going back and forth. But if you could, give us your philosophy on where things need to be from a dual meet standpoint and how that affects the individual national championships.
Well, I mean, this duel will have a stake in who wrestles for a national NWCA dual meet championship. But in the end, for me, I've been a strong proponent of this, and I think all the coaches are, right. There's not a coach, whether it's Sanderson or Brands or whoever it is, right. We all have a strong sense that dual meets, we have a great product. The sport of wrestling is in incredible shape. You've got the internet now. You can get your voice out there. You can get information to people in an inexpensive way, right? Which it wasn't always that way. So we have a great product. High school wrestling's getting better. There are more camps and opportunities for kids to learn. These kids are coming in at a much higher level. So our product is incredible. So now the biggest issue for me is, to me, there has to be a sting. We talked about this last night. Right? There has to be a sting. There has to be a significant consequence to a setback in the season, and a setback is we've got to continue to find ways to put a plan together to map out a college season so there's some progression to it, and we've got to continue to find ways to make the dual meet have even more significance. Listen, it clearly has significance, right? Individual matchups matter. The pride of your alumni and your fan base, they all want to win, but at the end of the day, these dual meets can have an even greater significance and more of a sting if you lose. Now, last week against Iowa, if there was more of a sting, listen, that dual meet mattered. There were 13,000 people there, 12,000 people there. Tom Brands wanted to be successful, so did we. It mattered. But it didn't matter enough for them to wrestle Clark. They were willing to not wrestle Clark. And nor were we. We were willing to send Snyder overseas. So therefore, end result to me is, common sense says, well, then there's not enough of a sting to make sure those guys are in the lineup. So we're looking at ways among the leaders in the sport to find ways to bring more value to our regular season.
Anything else going on? I believe there's a lot going on at Ohio State right now. You guys got a new wrestling group in the works?
We raised over $8 million to build a new facility. We'll be digging, I think this summer or late into the summer, we'll start digging. It'll be a 5-mat complex with weight room, conditioning room. It'll have a student lounge, it'll have a cafeteria. It'll have a recovery station. I've been to every facility in this country and many overseas, and I would argue that it will be the single greatest facility ever built, and we're excited about it.
Talking with head coach Tom Ryan of Ohio State. Coach Ryan, now just kind of some rapid-fire questions, trying to get a little bit inside the tie, so to say. What's something, Coach Ryan, that very few people know about you?
Something about me?
Something about you.
Let's see here. Something about me. Well, probably most people know this about me, but I believe, well, this is kind of simple, but I mean, I believe in a creator. I believe in a God that loves us. I don't believe we're here by accident. I enjoy family time. I love getting away. I love being with my daughter. My daughter likes to give me a hard time, and I like that.
And she's at Ohio State, correct?
She's not. She's on her way there.
Okay.
She's a sophomore. You know, obviously Jake's at Ohio State, who's a sophomore. Max a sophomore in high school. Jordan's now working with the Rudis, with Tommy Rollins and Jesse Lang, and those guys are doing big things with their company. So, yeah.
What's the biggest misconception about you?
Misconception? I don't know. I think that I hear a lot that, like, I don't wrestle people and I duck people. I think from a coaching perspective, that is the opposite of how I feel. I am all about people learning, and if you really believe in suffering and the productivity of suffering, then you want to put your athlete in a position to be in a challenging situation time in and time out. So I would say that there has never been a time ever when I have protected an athlete's seed, and I'm not saying that's not good coaching to some degree, but that's something I've never done. I don't wrestle people that are injured to a level where it could be a setback, and particularly when you have a college season, that the end is where all the value is, the Big Tens and the NCAAs. So I think that might be a misperception.
What would your wife say is the thing you do that annoys her most?
Oh, that's an easy one. I mean, how many should I list? I mean, wait, how much time you got, brother? I would probably say my phone. My phone is a challenge for me. I think it's a challenge for all people. I'm good at quiet time. I think quiet time is critical to just silence the world and really think and figure things out. I think the world wants to keep us busy, but my wife would say his phone.
Your favorite restaurant here in Columbus?
Favorite restaurant? Wow, I've got quite a few. I mean, I kind of like Mexican. I like El Vaquero. I like the steakhouses. I like the Cap City Grill. They got a good chicken pot pie. So there's this place is. They just released one of the best cities in the world to live in is Columbus, and lots of good restaurants. And I'm not a big food guy though. So you know, food for me is just in order for me to sustain life, I've got to eat. That's kind of how I view it. I don't get all emotional and fired up. Hey, tonight we're gonna have this magical dinner. Although my wife is an amazing cook, she makes ridiculous pork chops, incredible sweet potatoes. She's got a really good. She's an artist. She's got a really good sense for food, and that's fun.
Last good movie that you saw?
Last good movie that I saw. Wow. I'm not a big TV movie guy. I know a lot of guys on my team and my coaches, they could reel off, you know, every movie and what it was. I like movies that kind of stir my emotions, and are kind of like deep meaning movies.
Did you have one as a kid growing up?
Well, as a kid I wasn't as complex. I was pretty simple. It was, 100% Rocky.
Okay, oh, absolutely.
You know, Rocky 1 came out. I remember being in the theater. I got the chills. I wanted to go run. I wanted to hit some meat. So clearly, you know, Rocky at that time, but I kind of like movies that are a lot deeper now and things that kind of stir my imagination.
Your most rewarding victory as an athlete?
Most rewarding victory as an athlete? I would have to say it was my sophomore year in high school. Kind of weird, you know, but you know, I was engaged. I really got involved in wrestling in 7th grade, but my 10th grade year, I won in the semifinals of the county tournament. You know, there's 60 teams. I was joking with Snyder and the team about this the other day at practice when Kyle had just come back from Urigan. You know, he teched and pinned his way through Urigan. So I told the team, listen, the last time I teched and pinned my way through a tournament, I was in 9th grade. It was the district tournament. There were 6 teams there, and I managed to tech and pin my way. And Kyle just did it through Urigan, right? So I would say sophomore year, semifinals, counties. It was a match that I lost to the guy earlier, and I got him.
What is something you had to learn as a coach to really turn the corner?
Everyone's different. I think that the one thing, and I got many things from Coach Gable, but probably the greatest thing I learned from Coach Gable, he was very, which I struggle with this, he was very emotionless when communicating, right? Most often he was emotionless. It was just a matter of fact. It was fact or not. So I learned that from him. I learned that he treated people, the goal was to get the most out of each person. And he had the respect to treat people differently, no less than another, but allow maybe one guy to train that way and another guy. He was very good at assessing what was needed for that individual and building the trust in the team that he had the best interest of everyone at heart. So I would say that, obviously I think from Coach Gable too, I learned how to lay out a season, a training season, kind of periodization per se, and when to push, when to pull. So those are just a couple of things I learned from Coach.
I could talk to you all day. I'll give you a couple more.
Yeah.
What is the toughest thing you've ever had to do as the head coach at Ohio State, and what did you learn from it?
The toughest thing I ever have to do is let people go that I deep down don't want to let go. Like the heart of me says no, but I think when they start to impede on the culture enough, the lesson has got to be for them that as important as you are, there's a bigger picture as well. And I hope that you grow from this. And I always tell them, and it's not always, because there's not that many that's happened, but when it does, it's, look, I'll be there for you in any way possible. You need to reach out to me. You're having a hard time. I'll be there for you, but you just can't wrestle for us. So I think those are tough things as a coach because we want to help. Innately, we're servants, right? It's a servant business, and you can't serve if they're not around.
You talked about emotions before. You're a pretty deep guy, and I'm going to ask you this. When is the last time you cried?
I would say, let me think, probably it was 2 days ago when a friend of mine's daughter is trying to get into a good school for lacrosse, and I went home and thought about the relationship with my son, Teague. So a lot of things spur up emotions about lost opportunities. Even though I know he's in heaven, I know he's with God, I know he wouldn't come back if he wanted to, but there's a lot of things that you're missing that bring up emotion. I think crying is not a sense, obviously, it isn't a weakness, right? Not in my world.
Going back to 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago in St. Louis, you guys win the national title. When you think back to that night in St. Louis, what are a couple of things that will always stand out? And when you reflect on that effort, what's been most rewarding?
I would say that that night when we had it sealed, I got a text from Billy Baldwin. He was very supportive of wrestling. I got a text saying, Teague's light is shining brightly on you and your family. And that was probably the most emotional moment of the national championships. Again, it caused me to reflect. And then once you start reflecting, you go into this thought process of all the people at Hofstra that helped me, all the people back in Wantagh, New York, all the people at Iowa, all the athletes that fought so hard to put me in a position to get this job. So you start to reflect. And that national title brought about all that reflection. But it also brought about a lot of happiness for so many people. At the end of the day, though, it brought a lot of happiness. The next morning, I'm back at my house. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We bus back, and I tell this story. I had the trophy. I kept it with me, put it on my table. I had to go outside, let my dogs out. They wouldn't go out. This is the morning after the national championship. The night before, we're hoisting that thing in the air. Place going crazy, phones buzzing. Stiver wins 4 titles. The world of wrestling in Buckeye Nation League is fired up. That next morning, my dogs wouldn't go outside. I get home, I opened it, they wouldn't go out. I didn't know why they wouldn't go out. They didn't want to go in the grass. The snow melted, and there's 3 dogs, and there's lots of poop. They wouldn't go on the grass because of the poop. So I had to go outside, change my sneakers, went out there, and for about 8 hours, I scooped poop. Night before, I'm hoisting the trophy. Next morning, you're scooping poop. It's life, man. Just so these things that we chase, these intensifying moments that we chase, bring incredible happiness. But joy is something different, right? This sense of no matter what's going on, everything's going to be okay. And that only comes from one place. And that's not the world, that's God. And God in me and in us gives us this sense of not that everything's gonna be easy, not that things are always gonna be happy, but this sense of no matter what's going on, it's all good.
Really, really appreciate the time, Coach Ryan. Thank you so much, and best of luck to you and the Buckeyes the rest of the season.
Thanks, Shane.